Today on Drawbli, I am drawing
gestures and talking about what you learned from the Force book.
the Force.
Not the Star Wars Force, but a different Force. Actually, I don't remember the title.
Click that subscribe button if you are new around here.
And comment below with other ideas of things to help us improve as 2D artists.
So yeah, Abby and I recently read one of a series of books called Force. It's a drawing book or a gesture drawing book by Michael D Mattesi.
And we recently read it.
Yeah, I was looking at it online and I was like, man, this book does look cool. And then I was like, oh wait, I already have this. I've had this for like years and I just never read it.
The power was within me the whole time.
The Force. So we're gonna talk about this in two separate videos. This is my version of it, doing some gestural drawings that we have here on screen based on some of the ideas that both of us learned in the Force drawing book. Starting off obviously with my drawings, and then Abby will talk about hers more in our next one.
So Ben, what was your key primary takeaway? What do you think was the biggest thing you learned that made you go, oh my gosh, this is amazing?
I don't know. There's definitely, Michael's definitely a very talented artist. I think my general consensus of the book that I would say it was probably a little too hokey for me in general, but I think that there was also some good takeaways in it.
Hokey?
Hokey, yeah. I think he had a lot of words to say that didn't really mean anything in general.
I think that's something I've heard you talk about before. You call it like the mark of a good teacher is somebody who can just tell you why they're doing what they're doing instead of just saying, and the spirit moved me to do it.
Yeah, if you can't explain things either in simple terms or if you can't make it, generally easily understood, like if you're not good at explaining it, I feel like you don't always have a good grasp on the subject matter. Like, you can be an extremely talented artist, which clearly this person is if you look through any of their art, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you are great at having the language to describe exactly how you achieve said results or some of the key components of how you create said thing. I think somebody can be a fantastic artist and a not so great teacher. And I'm not saying that is the case with Michael, but I think in general he had, what I would call some hokiness, which definitely exists in a lot of art in general, especially fine art, which I'm not a huge fan of in general. But either way, I think that there were some really good key takeaways in terms of force specifically. I think the word force, the way he kind of describes it, is looking for like the action of a pose and the flow through said pose. And that is kind of what the force of a gesture is. So like with this baseball bat on this girl's back, over her shoulders, like the force of it could maybe be like taking that straight bat and exaggerating it and how she's like bending it over her back. So that's actually what I tried to do a little bit and like give that baseball bat some force that's not actually present, but there's tension there, right?
I like that,
and I'm exaggerating that tension by like flexing the baseball bat, or in this case, the pipe that I gave her, because it's the same. But I think my other key takeaway was starting with, force, or, in my opinion, more so gesture, then focusing on form, and then focusing on shape. And that is like the stack layer. So force, form, shape. And I really like that. I think having a general structural guideline to go through something is really good. But my main problem personally with gesture drawing in general is that when you are drawing gestures, I think somebody recently commented on a Drawbli video that said something about proportions, because I had mentioned in a recent video something along the lines of, when I'm doing gesture drawings, I really need to get the proportions down first. And the person said something like, gesture drawings are for learning gesture, do something else for proportions. It was, I'm paraphrasing, but that was the general idea. And I couldn't disagree with that more, because art is not just one fundamental at a time, it's everything at the same time. But maybe you're focusing on gesture. But if I only focus on gesture with my current skill level, it is going to look absolutely ridiculous because my proportions are going to be so completely wonky and just all over the place. But hey, we got a butt on screen now.
There's a butt. Is YouTube going to take this down?
For sure, 100%. We're getting demonetized. Oh, wait, we're not monetized at all.
I was going to say, like, that'd be cool if we being monetized.
You can't hurt us, YouTube. And it's art, you know, so hey, there you go.
It's art.
This is actually the first gesture drawings that I did. I intentionally put these later in the video because...
start off so strong.
Right, because butt.
Because butt.
So these are the first gesture drawings that I did after reading the Force book, or in the process of reading the Force book. And my main, like, general idea here was I'm going to do the exact same gesture drawing, and I'm going to do it like 5 times.
Oh yeah, iterative.
Yeah, so I think I did it more than 5 times, but I don't show all of them here. I might have done it closer to 10. But I handpicked, you know, like my first one. I think this is like my second one here, and then I show off like my fourth and fifth one.
Yeah.
But you will see that, you know, I do improve as I go in different aspects. With each one, I kind of tried to focus on different things.
I can see that, absolutely.
A lot of stuff talked about in the Force book that you probably can remember talks about kind of contrasting the shapes in the silhouette and how you can, you know, push something in one direction but maybe subdue it on the other and then alternate that rhythm. Yeah. So that was definitely something that I tried to work on.
That was a big thing to me too, definitely, that I'll definitely talk about.
Well, you can, feel free to mention some of it now. Don't let me take up all the airwaves.
Oh, no, but I also noticed earlier how you were using some of your lines to convey the flow of her form, trying to like wrap them around the form. I like with what you're doing, I feel like you also are bringing in a lot of focus on representing these forms as 3-dimensional objects, whether earlier that was, you know, with rectangles and cylinders, or just you wrapping lines around, seeing that. I mean,
a contour line, right?
Right. No matter what deficits we may have right now as beginners in like the perfection of our lines and the placement, practicing those techniques will build on itself and build so that when your muscle memory kind of starts to check in and help you create like more exact lines of exactly where you want them the first time, that kind of thing, you're going to already have these other skills baked in to emphasize those.
Yeah, anything that helps you kind of see the 3-dimensionality of what you're drawing to, you know, force your brain to get away from seeing 2D shapes on the page. Anything that you can do to get away from that, in my opinion, is a good investment of your time.
Definitely. Yeah, I think trying to draw form is a great practice. It's something I've tried to focus on a little bit more this week myself, and it's not easy, and it doesn't, and I think some of the frustrating things is as beginners is, you know, I think we're learning a lot. We're very intentional in our learning, and we're learning all these great tips, but I am not experienced enough to apply them and see these beautiful results.
Yeah,
it's just not enough to know things. It's so much about practice.
100%. Like, I can probably count, you know, how many gesture drawings I've done in my entire life, but someone like Michael D could not probably. I mean, he's done thousands, tens of thousands.
And all the examples in his book were so amazing.
Yeah, who knows how many. And because of that, you know, you have so much practice under your belt that there is just so much that you are capable of that, you know, obviously someone like us
You've
is not going...
You've experimented so many times with so many different components of your work.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's such a huge thing with a lot of beginners. And I actually receive a lot of messages like this kind of general sentiment from students, like from some of my students, that will follow along with a tutorial that I have created that is literally a step-by-step guide of, you know, the planes of the face, where I show every single step along the process, and they come in and they say, like, oh, mine looks different. Why does mine look different? I followed you step for step. And it's like, well, obviously you didn't follow it perfectly, pixel per pixel, step for step, because if you did, it would look identical, right? Like that's just obvious. But your ability to see is not quite leveled up enough with your ability to do. So like art has these two things that kind of work in tandem, your ability to perform the actual action and your ability to see the mistakes. And for me, who's been doing art for a long time, I can see tons of horrible things that I would love to be able to correct and do better and fix. And I can see where I do need to improve, but I can't necessarily always actively do that.
Yeah. Well, I think you made a lot of progress here with these gesture drawings you did.
I definitely feel like I improved. Every time I do gesture drawings, I feel like I get a little better.
And even if, we don't have to even call them gesture drawings, if that's not the true spirit of what we're doing here, we're just sketching. We're doing great sketches. Although I do feel like, especially with this iteration, you've hit it even more here than with the previous ones. I love that about iteration. Just that one key learning piece. It hasn't made me like a significantly better artist, but employing that, I've seen so much growth, just from my tiny little perspective.
Yeah, there was a lot, that I kind of culminated in the ideas with this final little gesture sketch. So it was a tough exercise. I think I've said every time we've done anything gestural that it's incredibly difficult for me. It's something that I really struggle with, and that's why I'm doing it. And it's actually something that I want to talk about more in another upcoming video when we start finding the beauty in the mundane. Or at least I do that.
In the mundane. I already did it.
You
I drew
already
some
did
pillows.
You already did it. You did some pillows. You did a material
I'll be taking
study.
on a prompt by one of our commenters called Reflections.
Yeah, we'll be hitting up Lucas again for some more suggestions.
Lucas, we need you.
But yeah, I mean, that is in essence my opinions on the Force book. I actually plan on going back through and rereading some of the first chapter, as I feel like that was kind of the most informational and most helpful. So
yeah,
I want to go back in and just kind of readdress, because on the first go through, I went through pretty quick. So.
Yeah, me too. I devoured that book. Oh, here they are all together.
And you can see kind of a little bit of some of my ideas at the top.
Yeah.
So like a first rough one, and then I tried to get some three-dimensionality in with another. I tried to kind of exaggerate where I thought the Force was with one pose, and obviously it looks really janky, but that was kind of my idea. And then some other ideas as I continued forward and tried to push on that.
Great job.
Thank you. Yeah, it was fun.
And that's what this is all about, right?
It's all about fun.
It's all about the fun. No, it's all about becoming amazing artists.
We're going to be so good.
We're going to be so good. Tune back in 15 years from now.
20, 25 years, 30.
Or, tomorrow.
Or tomorrow. It could happen. Well, hey, click that subscribe button if you guys want to see us slowly get better at art.
And comment below with other suggestions for how we can get better at art.
And this is the part where we say
goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody.
Great forms and gestures, Ben.
Great forms. Thank you.
Forms.
What about shapes?
Shapes, too.
Shapes are there.